Okay, welcome back to the channel. So this is part 2 of the video. We're waiting on parts to arrive, mainly the new axles, so we're going to swap out. Once we swap them out, we're going to top this off with 3.2 quarts of shock proof right here. And then we're going to let it drain, or try to overfill it to the right. We'll try to fill it to the proper point, and then we're going to mount this in the vehicle. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what it looks like here. Try to do this one-handed. This thing looks a little bit heavier duty than the ones that came with the vehicle, actually. This is a brand new axle, and it looks nice. And it seems a little bit heavier than the original one, so maybe these are a little sturdier, I hope. I'll have to find out. Compared to those, they look identical. They just look a little beefier. Yeah, especially right here. That seems a little thicker than the stock ones. Well, I'm not complaining. Better, beefier is better. Let's see how they mount. All right, so Chris pointed out something on this. If you're not careful, if you look on the differential, you notice on one side, there is a difference in the length of the shaft here, and you have to figure out which side is which. So the best way to figure out is look at the line right here. Notice to the left side. So the shorter is going to be this side, the longer is going to be on this side, is what Chris is telling me here. We're going to basically do this in sequence, because we got the part numbers that are matching, but obviously when you look at them, there is a difference. There is a slight difference on the, can you really tell? That's the shorter one right here. That's the longer one. Slightly, I mean, it's hard to tell on camera, but yeah, just make sure you get on the right side, okay? The correct side before you mount this. That's what we're just gonna, I just wanna make sure I'm specific that this doesn't bite me in the butt later, or you, if you're trying to do this yourself. Okay, so we're trying to put, careful as not to spill as much as possible. This stuff's expensive, it's like $23 a bottle, and need 3.2. Now, just because it's real pink and pretty and expensive, kind of like my ex, it's still toxic to the skin, so try not to get it on you. Yeah, 3.2. We're going to try to get this topped off, and then 3.2 is what they say for this specific diff. Most of the other diffs are like 1.5 quarts. Okay, so we leveled out the diff. We're going to test to see if we overfilled it. We technically put 3 quarts in there. We didn't do 3.2, but we filled it. Now we closed the plug here, the fill plug. We leveled out the diff. We're going to loosen it up. It looks like it's dripping a little bit, so we may have overfilled it, so we're going to let some of it out. I mean, there's pros and cons to overfilling, and there's definitely, you don't want to underfill, I'd rather overfill. But let's see how much is going to leak out. We may be good with 3 quarts. I mean, online they're saying 3.2 is what's required, but it might be a little bit too much.
That's a lot.
How much do you think? Should we let more out?
Like, I would like to overfill it to this,
okay.
But you got it like...
Let's let some more out then.
Hell no, dude. You want that in there.
You want to overfill it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So we're at...
Just tighten it down.
We're just slightly more than above the fill line.
Which is desirable, really. Extra fluid doesn't hurt.
Okay. We'll
Not
stop
the
there.
diff anyways. You don't want to do this on your engine.
No. But the diff, maybe we got some leeway there.
Yeah.
So a little more.
It's just a big gear.
So. Just loosen up just a little bit. And just a little bit more out.
How's it going to turn?
Agree to disagree. So there's 2 rules of thought on this. Slightly over full, or definitely not less. All right, so Chris pointed out something. The reason why it's probably better to be overfilled, because I know we disagree on this, but he's making some sense here. I want him to explain it. Go ahead and tell me what you're talking about the channels here, please.
All right, guys, this is a small class on diffs. Not all diffs, but definitely Nissan. I've noticed this design on their equipment, and I've taken a differential apart already, and I've already seen what these are, and these are actually channels. This is actually a tube right here, and if you can imagine for a second that in here is a gear. I also had to explain to Tony, take the time to tell him in what direction the axle's turning. So yeah, go ahead and grab that. So this is the direction that your wheels are typically turning, right? Clockwise to me, counterclockwise to you guys on the screen. That means the gear is running in this rotation. And if we look at what a gear is in basic principles, don't get too complicated, don't think about it as a gear right now, but basically there's a bunch of paddles on this, and down here your fluid pools at the bottom of the diff up to the drain pipe, right? So this much of the differential has got liquid in it. But when you have paddles such as that, like on a Louisiana bedding boat, you know, casino type boats, that's a big paddle right here. That paddle, when your car is driving, will fling oil in this direction into this channel, getting oil into your bearings and returning in this direction with the heat, where these heat sinks will disperse that heat through air rushing underneath the car. So even though this is a quite simple gear mechanism, turns your wheels, there's quite a bit happening here that doesn't need to have like an electric pump to cool down the oil. The natural rotation takes care of that entire process in these guys. So that's a small class on what happens inside the diff, just so you guys know. Tony is getting worried about having too much oil, but I say it's fine if it swims in cooling material. Like, it's actually ideal. This is ideal for OEM, but since we're performance oriented, I'd appreciate a little bit more cooling.
So I did drain some of the quart. There was 3 quarts in there. I have 4 quarts on me. I have a quart left over, but we put 3 in there, and I probably drained a quarter out. So I would say, estimate wise, 2.5, maybe 2.75 quarts are in there. 2.75 is what I got right now.
Typically 1.5 is the correct amount
for most of the OEM diffs.
We found out somewhere that it's supposed to be 3.1, and we're finding out that 3 is overdoing it.
Yeah.
So we're finding out for ourselves here in live that 3 is a little bit more than necessary. But if your differential may have, there's several different versions of these back lids.
2 3/4 is probably more than enough.
Just make sure this is full, because that's what you're ultimately going to be going off by.
Yeah.
So if you're a quart shy or more, just add.
And some of you probably have seen the Gretty version of these. They're actually a little bit more elongated, so those probably take 3.2 or more. This is obviously not a Gretty rear diff cover that has expanded capacity.
But it definitely took more than 2 quarts.
Yeah, it definitely took more than 2. So I would say 2.5, maybe more accurate. We got 2.75. We let out about a quarter of a quart there. So 2.75 is what I got in there right now. I'm gonna roll with it for now and see how. We'll check on it later. But this is real expensive. $23 a bottle. Just buy 3 and just go off that. And obviously you want to check it when you open it up and see how much comes out. But let's see how this works out, because this is a new. Because I mean, literally, look at the end of this rear diff. When we drill the holes, Chris made a comment that this diff now is compatible with how many different type of drive shafts?
2. Since we drilled holes, it is now drive shaft universal. So
pretty much. Look at that. They did a good job too. So this is going to be a pretty unique rear diff. And what we're going to do with the factory, the OEM one, is I'm going to build a racing diff out of that one. Leave that gear ratio in there. Maybe weld it. I mean, I have options. I may just get the Quaif LSD, which has the lifetime warranty, even if you race it. It's a little bit cheaper than the OS Geiken. And get the Gretty rear diff cover for that one, since obviously I have some of that shock proof left over. And I'll have 2 different styles of differentials. One's a clutch pack, one will be the helical type. And one will go in the Blue 286, which will be a track car. This will be a daily driver with a limited slip. And I'll be happy. And then we can work on the on my S10, and then the old Porsche, and then when the Sylvia gets back from San Antonio, we'll go in that order. But anyway, so we got things to do. We're going to put this in right now, and we'll come back here in a second. But that's a pretty good instructional on this differential. All right, so we got the diff all ready to go. We got the new axles on here. Since we have the exhaust already laid out, I'm going to go underneath the car and on top of the car. I'm going to use some PB Blast. And so we can basically loosen up the header bolts for the down pipe, basically the bolts for the down pipe, and then try to unbolt it. And I may have to cut this exhaust because it's all one piece. Yeah, no cat. The prior owner didn't want a cat, whatever. Yeah, I gotta reach down there and hit that. Yeah, I'll try from the bottom. Okay, so I'm underneath the car. I want y'all to take a peek at this. This is what, oh my God, look at that. That is rusty. So I'm gonna liberally spray that with PB Last, and then we're gonna let it soak for a bit, and then we're gonna try to take it out. So let's see. I'm not spraying myself in the face. There we go. There you go. Let that drip a bit. Drip, drip. I'm using the camera so I can navigate this, because it's a tight fit here. Okay. And then last one here. Where you at? Where you at? I need both hands for this. Alright. So anyway, so the bolt right here is coming loose. It's getting there. Man, this is... So PB Blast worked. The PB Blast worked. I got that one bolt off. Here comes the other one. So let it soak for about 5 minutes. Makes the job a lot easier. It's just kind of cramped right here. But these are 17mm bolts off the downpipe, and they come right off. Alright, there we go. Okay, so we tried to take the exhaust off, and the header bolts, not the header bolts, the downpipe bolts, I took those off, and there's a flange right there. There's a seated pipe that goes in there. It's like, it's got a, like, what is it called? Like a crush washer almost?
Yeah.
And that thing is, we sprayed with PB Blast, we're letting it soak right now, so we were going to do the exhaust. But we said, screw it, let's just do the diff real fast. We'll deal with the exhaust later. So this is really hard with one person. That's why I need to get that DJI head cam set up, because I basically couldn't record us both putting this in there. With some smashed pinkies, fingers, and yeah, 2 jacks. We got the diff in there and locked in place. Now there's 4 bolts that I got points at that we had a hard time getting in there and threading in. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one right. Yeah, you can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and lining them up with the jacks and these wooden blocks and lining them, and then getting them in there, and then threading them was a pain in the butt. But we got them in there, and it's looking pretty good so far. Chris wants to kill me because I'm recording. I get it, but I need to get that camera set up so you guys can see the pain of doing this.
Y'all missed a lot.
You miss a lot of bleeding and smashed pinkies, but we got this. It's getting in there. It's a joint effort.
Yeah, this is a PG-13, not
yeah. All the expletives have been bleeped out, but this is a bonding moment. But no, seriously, this is not easy, and it takes 2 people to do this. And we're both probably gonna wash our hands of all the grease and jump in the pool for a while and cool off. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of pain. But yes, you too can enjoy the pain.
Look at Tony's pinky.
Smashed the shit out of it. It's turning blue already.
That nail's coming off.
Nail's gonna fall off. But yeah, a little pain, a little bleeding, but the results.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. You're gonna have a limited slip, brand new axles, and eventually the exhaust, if that PB Blast works, it'll just pop. It'll just fall right out in front. Or we're just gonna rock with it for a little bit and just cut up the pieces and hammer it. Either way, that piece is like stuck in the front. It's literally the downpipe. But here we go. So far, so good. It's looking good. That looks sexy, actually. 280 with the true clutch pack LSD. Anyways, onward to more things. All right, so getting this thing balanced on some blocks and a jack and lining up the diff, and this is the end result. Everything seems to be lining up pretty good. Yes, we just gotta tighten it down, but man, that diff looks sexy. Woo! And then I'm just tightening these down. It's almost done. I got one more left down here, but basically the axle's locked up. It's going to tighten it down, but line them up perfectly. This does fit perfectly. It's not leaking any fluid. We may start her up and drive a little bit before we do the exhaust, because I'm excited about this diff. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. We may just put the tires back on it, drop it down, maybe jack with the front end, and then try to pull down on that exhaust in the front and see if it comes loose. It's like, it's almost like it's like welded in place. I hope it's not welded because we removed the bolts. It just does not want to come down. We need to use some gravity and pull it down. But this looks really cool though. I mean, looks are one thing, performance is the other. So we're going to test that out. Take it for a test drive here in a little bit, and then attempt to tackle the exhaust. Okay, we're in the final stretch. We're going to leave the exhaust because we're going to head it over to the shop that has a lift, so we can actually yank on the exhaust. But the diff,
because it got stuck.
Yeah. So literally the exhaust is stuck, so we're going to have to pry this off. So we're tightening down the final bolts, and see, I can see it in there. Yeah, we tightened them down already. So it's looking pretty good. We tightened down the axles. We're going to bleed the brakes again because we had to disconnect the brake line. And then we're going to drive this with the exhaust to our shop. And put, not our shop, but the shop that Chris is going to be working at.
No.
I might as well give him a plug.
I thought you were going to take it to the exhaust shop.
No, we're going to have Cricket Sticker do it. They got a lift. All we got to do is yank that stuff down.
Okay.
Alright, so Chris says that the lift is actually occupied. They're doing a total overhaul on this car. So we're going to have to either wait till Monday, take it to an exhaust shop to see if they can yank this thing off somehow, swap it out. So right now I'm rotating this so he can line up those bolts with the drive shaft. So I'm just turning this around. But I did notice something. Yeah, shocks, there's a lot of interesting parts of the car. So shocks, cars, Japanese, but this is some German parts right here. Yes, we have German parts here. And I said, what else do we need here? Oh yeah, we have, oh, look at what this is. A Nadi steering wheel from Italy. So yes, we have the three powers up back together. Nobody enjoys my humor, but we're almost done. Okay, we're pretty much done here. What I'm doing now is I'm bleeding the brakes. I'm gonna pump this. 1, 2, 3. I'm holding it. We're bleeding the brakes. This is the final step. We're gonna leave the exhaust is in the back. I'm gonna go pump it one more time. I'm holding it, and then we're gonna basically do the exhaust on Monday, and then that'll be it. We'll be done. And then we're just waiting for the lights to come in from Dapper. That'll be one of the next videos we do. I'm also going to do an exhaust video. All right, hold on. All right, so this is the next following day. We got the car in the air. We're going to try to pull that exhaust off the downpipe. It's like welded, or the crush washer. We're going to try to figure this out. So we figure put it up in the air. Chris is going to yank on it. We got the exhaust back here still, so we're trying to get this done. By the way, when I put the R200 rear diff, I went from a 354 on the OEM turbo open diff to a 3.7 on the 280ZX R200 LSD differential. It did change my miles per hour on the digital dash. It's now saying if I'm going 65 miles an hour, well, yeah, it's actually going 60. So I'm adding more miles to the motor. So I went ahead and went online and ordered a pinion gear, 18 tooth. This is what I'll put it in the description of the video. It's $50 from a manufacturer. I'll send you the link if you want to change your speedometer to have it match this rear diff. So the 18 pinion gear is a 3.7 just to match the rear diff on this. So that way the speedometer is dead on. It's just $50. Now, if I don't do this, it's not going to be accurate, and yeah, I'm just going to be adding more miles to this car anyway. I'm not going to sell it, but still, I want it to be accurate with my GPS. So, that being said, it's coming together. The exhaust is the last bit, and then we're going to get this thing sent to paint eventually, soon. I'm on a waiting list. Same thing with the spoiler and the front lip. It's already painted. I'm just waiting. I'm just giving you an update. So right now we're going to call underneath here and try to take the exhaust off and then go from there. Okay, so Chris is welding. Well, he's got a torch out. He's basically going to heat up those bolts, try to knock it loose. You can see the exhaust, the flange is right there. He's just heating them up. He's already took the bolts off. He's just trying to warm it up enough. And then we're trying to whack and get this pipe off. And look at the welds on here from before. I mean, it's a solid weld. Yes, it's not pretty, but it's functional. I get it, right? We're going to have to cut this off probably in segments and pull it out and then put the other one on. Okay, so we're underneath the vehicle here, and Chris just pointed out the pinion gear that I'm going to be replacing to change the miles per hour. There it is. That's the pinion gear. That's going to be an 18-tooth pinion gear to match the 3.7 gear ratio. This is the 354 for the turbo. So those of you that have a turbo or a non-turbo, you got to find out what kind of gear ratio you have for your speedometer. You need to match it. That's the pinion gear you need to replace, and that's what I ordered. It's like 50 bucks. But now you know where it's located, right? So now I have an idea. Bam, that's it right there. Anyways, I'll let Chris continue what he's doing. Right now, we're cleaning everything off the bottom here. My rack and pinion is actually leaking, and I've been wanting to replace that. It should be arriving today. We're probably going to do a video on the rack and pinion install. They're very hard to find. So basically, you take it out, you send it out to get it repaired. There's several shops in California that can do this. When I make that video, I'll put a link in the description, and we'll go from there. But yeah, we got things to do on this vehicle to make it reliable and roadworthy. So Chris is draining the transmission fluid, and we are replacing it with Redline MTL with the good stuff. So that's going to be swapped out, and we did Redline for the rear. So everything's getting Redline in this vehicle. Yes, I know it's pricey, but you know what? If this is your baby, you want to treat her right. You don't want to feed her McDonald's every day. You want to give her steak every now and then. That's my rationale. I'm sticking with it. I don't care. I do what I want. Well, there we go. It's pretty clean though.